Managers aren't investors. We don't pull money out of our pocket. We're not a label. I think a lot of artists think that managers are booking agents and we're not. Streaming data is a horrible metric to look at as what fans do.
Before we start episode 005, all about managers with Ross Wilson, I want to ask you a favor that would massively help this channel, which is to consider subscribing. So in this episode, we're going to be hearing from Ross Wilson, an incredible artist manager who works with the likes of Shay's Universe, Jamal Woon, Sean Hamilton, Shades the Misfit, and many other successful artists over his career from both the US and in the UK. He's helped them sign to record labels, get publishing deals, and open up their careers as full-time artists, because I learned an incredible amount from this interview, speaking with Ross about the mindset and the relationship between the artist and the manager themselves. So I hope you gain just a fraction of what I did from having this conversation with Ross Wilson. So back and enjoy this exciting conversation. So I want to dive right in at the deep end with you, my bro. It's been a long time since we've been connected, but you've been a manager that I've really respected, looked up to, worked with over the years. So I want to dive in right at the deep end and be, in its simplest form, what does a manager do for an artist, bro?
So a manager can be seen as like a CEO of a company. So say like the artist is the founder, the manager will be a CEO. So the manager takes care of your day-to-day business in terms of like anything music related, brand related. Live, they're kind of like the port of call for everyone involved in your campaigns and projects and business moving forward. So they're the center point of basically everything that you do as an artist.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, because I know Kanye West once said that artists don't need managers, they need CEOs. And I truly believe in that vision. Like, an artist sets the vision, but they need the team or the pieces around them to make their vision come to life. And often you don't know what you don't know. So you need someone with experience to help you get to uncharted territory. Would you agree?
So it's literally like seeing the artist as a business or product, and you're essentially there to help communicate via the medium. So music and films and podcasts and live performances and brand launches and merch. And so you're there to kind of oversee both the creative and the business side of an artist doing what they do. And doing that allows the artist to be an artist and create.
I think that's so important, that the artist can stay true to the music and they can make the best like sonic product essentially, but then the manager can help them go and put all the other pieces together to make revenue driving products. Is that sometimes the split, how you see it, like creativity versus money and revenue, or is it a bit of both?
So essentially, well, from my perspective anyway, managers really help develop people. We're in the business of people, right? Mm-hmm. So we do it all day. We're connecting people, we're managing expectations, we're moving them up forward in terms of just that person, working with them on their mindset as well as their creativity, as well as their, because we have a duty of care to take care of our clients. So, and part of that is just making sure that they're in the right mindset and they understand that, one, how the business works, and two, how to kind of navigate the negativity and the downside of the business. Do you know what I mean? So, like, we're a bit of everything. We wear a lot of hats, which is difficult at times because not everyone's good at everything. So you really have to kind of pick your battles, but essentially you're there to help the artists grow, not just their career and brand, but as a person.
I love that. I think there's such a duty as a therapist in a way, because you're so close to them on a day-to-day basis. You hear their genuine anxieties, their genuine stresses, their worries, and you help put them on the right path so they don't pay attention to the white noise and they get focused on what they have to do. I think that's such an underrated part of being a manager.
For sure. And I think managers on the whole get a lot of kind of bad press, because it's like, well, my manager was this, manager was that. But if you take us out of the equation a lot of the time, a lot of stuff doesn't move without.
For sure.
Yeah, it's super simple. We're here to manage people expectations and help the artist grow in whatever respect that is.
I really respect that as well, because if you take the manager out of the equation, their career, 99% sure, wouldn't have taken off on the trajectory that it did, because somebody accelerated all facets of their career, and without the emotional investment, without the educational investment, they'd be stuck following the path of mistakes and would have taken a lot longer to eventually blow up, in my opinion, as well.
There's that. And like, for example, if you go to a label and you say to them, well, I don't have management, they'll probably won't deal with you, one in the same way, but they probably won't deal with you at all, because there has to be a person that they like working with alongside the artist that can help them kind of craft where they're trying to bring the artist. You know what I mean? So a lot of the time, like, companies past a certain point will really deal with an artist, or you'll find the artist kind of gets a certain level of respect, but not the full 100 or the full whack, and manager's not involved. And that could be, they're there to essentially help you look a certain way. So like, it makes you look professional if you say, oh, you know what, speak to my manager, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're still a very integral part of everything that happens music-wise.
That's clutch, bro. I want to get to them, how you approach labels. I want to get how you approach sync and publishing in a little bit. But can we just dial it back to one sec to what are the misconceptions, actually? So we've talked so far about what managers do, but what do musicians think that managers do that they don't actually do?
I think a lot of artists think that managers are booking agents, and we're not. We can help source things. Obviously, we can lead on comms and all that, but essentially, no, we're not there to book your shows for you. We're there to help facilitate you to get the shows, but we're not a booker. Managers aren't investors. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't pull money out of our pocket. We're not a label. We're here to help you manage your career, not fund it. You know, and there's a massive difference. Like, if a manager does put money in, they are expecting a return. Do you know what I mean? And a manager's not like, we're not a publisher. We're not like, we're just here as a center point for your career, right? To manage a process. Like, we're not any other part of that. Now, there's certain managers that do things like, I'm not a lawyer, so if I need something read, take it to my lawyer. Do you know what I mean? But I can read contract to the point where I understand what I'm reading. So it really just depends on what the manager's second skill set is. But usually all we do is we manage. I'm the center point for that person's comms and career and negotiations and all the rest of it.
I think that's a clear distinction. Thank you for saying it in such like easy wording and like drawing that line and saying, we're here to facilitate your goals. We're not here to bring opportunities to the table that you didn't drum up the hype and excitement for yourselves. I think there's relationship side of the game where you can introduce somebody and a talent to a relationship you have, but magicking bookings or magicking sponsorships or magicking collabs out of thin air is harder to do. The musician has to build the buzz that the manager can then utilize that buzz and connect the dots in a lot of ways. Would you agree with that sort of line?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel like they need a manager, and they don't.
It's brutal truth. Brutal truth. They don't actually. Agreed.
Like, and just to be like completely honest with you, like, you getting a manager doesn't make sense just as an individual, only because you may not be making the income to support that manager. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I think if artists kind of understood what we do, rather than, you know, I guess taking in what the internet says we do, that communication structure would be a lot easier. But a lot of artists have a misconception about what we do as managers.
No doubt, bro. 15% of nothing is still nothing. So if the musician's not bringing any revenue to the table, again, I go back to this expectation argument of bringing opportunities and you can take a slice of an opportunity that you brought to the table. Sounds like a really messed up situation. Whereas if the artist had interest anyway, the manager's getting a cut off the new opportunity in a way.
Yeah. I mean, if an artist has an interest and you come in halfway through the process, maybe you want to take part of that commission. Maybe you take a reduced commission because you only came in halfway through the process. But if I help close anything, or if I'm involved in any sort of way, like, I'll be looking to commission that or get paid off of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not one of those things. Like, we have relationships, managers. We have relationships. We can do amazing things given time and effort and energy. But in order for us to do that, the artist also has to be playing their part, bringing their opportunities, their roles, and like, it's a dual. Like, we can't function without each other, right? So if I've got nothing to manage, then there's nothing. If the artist, it doesn't exist, I don't exist, and if I don't exist, the artist don't exist past a certain point. You know what I mean? Like, you can be a hobbyist and you can do it that way, but to take it to like a certain level past a certain point, you definitely need a team and a manager around you.
Of course. So that kind of nicely moves on to like the obvious question, which is like, how does a talent find a manager, and how does a manager know that an artist in their development stage is right to be managed? Talk us through that kind of workflow, like who finds who, when is the right time sort of vibe.
I mean, it can work either way, right? So, an artist can find a manager can find an artist. So there's no really like hard fast rule. Usually how I work is recommendations, or like, if an artist reach out to me, I kind of, build a relationship for a bit and just, talk through some things and figure out where their mindset's at. I think when it comes to like finding managers, that's a bit more of a difficult one, because everyone can say they're a manager, they can say they're they can say like all this stuff, but what's their track record and what have they done? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's no hard and fast rule, but definitely recommendations. And if you're doing well enough as an artist, people will find you, managers will find you, and they'll be like, hey, do you mind if we, get involved? But yeah, it's definitely like a close thing. Like, you can't, and it's such a personal thing, you can't invite anybody into your space. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to be, hey, if I'm taking this on, like, I really have to know what I'm taking on. So in terms of just like what I look for in an artist, they have to be coachable, able to communicate past a certain point, and they have to be able to, being able to let go of your creative process is super hard for a lot of people. In whatever creative field that is, but it's super hard. So you have to be able to trust the person. And if you don't trust the person, at least you're aiming to build trust. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just be out there and be like, well, look, you need to do da 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 da. It's like, okay, cool. Let's figure this out. What do we need to happen in order for us to trust each other, and then build on that? You know what I mean? It's a simple process, but I think people make it super complex. Either I like you, I don't. Either I trust you, I don't. Either we're both coachable, we're accountable, we hold each other to a standard, or we don't, and that's just it's as simple as that.
Yo, I fully agree. That's fire, because I think you actually said the word. I think it's delegation and accountability to me. From the outside looking in, as a music marketer, I see the artist has to be able to delegate responsibility to the manager, or vice versa. And then the one person has to be accountable that will do the thing they said that they would do. And that works in reverse. If the manager sets an artist a task, make some social media content or write me a song like this, like the artist has to be accountable to their own deadlines. I think it's a two-way street. It doesn't work one direction only.
Imagine any relationship, like, if we're both rowing the same direction, and cool. If we're not, then it doesn't make sense.
I struggle with it. I've managed 2 artists, inverted commas, in my life. And both times I outwork the talent. And I always found like I have a very serious work ethic. And I find that if I'm setting somebody a calendar, or if I'm setting someone a to-do list, if I've upheld my half, how could they let the partnership down by not holding up their half? I've struggled with that. How do you navigate that sort of situation if you've ever experienced that?
I think disappointment is just part of the process. I've become good with it. Um, Disappointment and failure are completely part of the process. Like, you have to be okay with not always hitting it out of the park. You have to be okay with sometimes taking a loss. Like, you have to be okay with just saying, hey, maybe this just isn't my day. Like, you have to be okay with these things because you hear a lot more no's than you do yeses. Like, as a manager, you hear no's every day. And sometimes with no reason, with no context, just, no, we can't do that. And it's just been like, okay, cool, well, what's the next option?
And do the artists ever take it personally? They're like,
Literally,
you didn't give me the yes, and I'm now pissed off that that opportunity that you said you tried didn't come through. Do they catch feelings in that way?
I think artists kind of, they're creative, they're sensitive. They always take, well, not always, but mostly they take things personal. Do you know what I mean? And you as a manager have to then say, you know what, I'm taking it personal. Because I get it. I get why you took that personal and why you felt disappointment in the way you felt it and why you feel how you feel. So you have to be like, you know what, let's go back at it and we'll do better next time.
Great mindset. Yeah.
And it's hard because there's been sometimes I've just taken L's and I've just been like, I have to take a reset sometimes. Like, you have to just remove yourself and then come back at it. But it's part of the process, bro. Like, you can't stop failure. You can't stop growth.
I think it takes a certain type of person. Like you say, you've clearly done the work, but I think it also takes a relentless hustle. Like, when you want to switch off, you can't switch off because there's plates that you're already spinning that need to keep spinning. And there's plates you need to start spinning and put the wheels in motion for the next deal or the next thing or the next campaign. I think, how do you navigate being always on? Like, there's no mindset of rest sometimes with certain artists. You're always in go, go, go mode.
So it's funny, right? You have to, when you're at work, you have to be at work. Like, relentless and on. And when you're not at work, you really have to engage in the thing that you're not working, that is disconnected from work. So it's like, for example, with you, family, and, you know, like, put yourself in situations where you literally just, you can enjoy the things that are personal to you. Because it can be all consuming, it can be all, you know, but what do you enjoy outside of music? Like, you can lose yourself between that process. What do you enjoy outside of music? Like, who are your people? Who you talk to? You know, what food do you like? And just focus on stuff you like outside of music. Because balance can be hard. And it can be a hustle. But equally, I always say what's for you is always for you, will never pass you.
Wow.
Right? So it's a hustle, but we're always looking for something that is probably there, but we don't see it. So we're busy trying to search for it. And if you just kind of step back, take a breath, and just look at the picture, it's like trying to find where's Waldo.
Yeah, where is he? But you got to look deep and hard to find him. I can relate, bro. I definitely, the hours that I'm on, I'm fully on and present. But there are certain things where your brain needs to tick and the answers will come to you in the silence. And the more you just sit with the problem, the more the answers present themselves, even if you don't go researching and doing it. Sometimes freedom of mind like helps the answer come. I definitely know we all relate to that. Okay, so let me paint a picture. You know when an artist will get like a Spotify billboard in New York Times Square, or they'll get like the opportunity of a lifetime, like how does a manager look up from the bottom of a scary mountain, like, we're going to get to the top, we're going to achieve that? Like, when, I'm sure people must feel completely out of their depth when they start to build the pieces that achieve that dream. But how do you begin with like an unfathomable task like a billboard in Times Square? Like, where does one begin?
It's just a step at a time. The billboard is one level, and then you may do like a super arena tour, like of 30 dates, be another level. And then you're in the next James Bond movie, that's another level. Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter where you are, there's always a level that you can get to. Do you know what I mean? Whether it be laterally or, there's always somewhere that you can go. The thing is figuring out if you need to go there or not.
That's so true. Yeah.
Because
do you want to go there or do you need to go there? Is a big distinction, I guess.
Yeah. Like, for example, like, who wouldn't want to have a billboard on Times Square?
Exactly.
That's amazing, right? But equally, if you don't get the billboard, how does that really affect what you're currently doing?
Yes.
Because in music, there are vanity metrics and there are actual measurable things that we can look at, right? Streaming data is a horrible metric to look at.
Agreed.
As to what fans do, right?
Mm.
But Spotify have wrecked it for everyone because they put the numbers up there and now everyone's glued to Spotify. Like, I will go and speak to a distributor, right? And they're basing their data on Spotify numbers. And when I say, hey, but what about the Apple numbers? And oh, no. Doesn't really. So you're already getting shortchanged a deal because then the numbers aren't always truly reflected.
Very true. Very true.
Right? So you go to someone like Beatbread and their concept's amazing. They take it based off the Spotify numbers, not your collective number.
Okay.
They don't of the collective number of streams. Initially their thing is based on Spotify, and then they might dive deeper later on and be like, well, we need to adjust whatever. But yeah, Spotify is kind of like the metrics and the bar, and it's a really horrible way to measure engagement because you could have 10 million streams and not be able to sell out a small venue of 5.
That is true. Yes, the correlation between fans, numbers, metrics versus tangible sales. And if you can, I know artists who can fill out a small cap venue, but don't get many streams because they have a real local buzz rather than having this global digital buzz. Where do you draw the line? What do you prefer? What do you try and aim for with your artists?
You know what? It's not solely down to the artist, but that's down to what the artist's vision for themselves are, right? Because you can speak to an artist. Well, for my artists in particular, like today, Shay said, listen, I have no interest in being on the charts. I just want to make cultural impact and, create moments and just connect my core fan base, right? And that may mean, hey, we cap out at 50 million streams. But she's happy with it, and that's the important thing, right? Like I always say, like the thing that you look for, the goal that you're setting for yourself is a byproduct of the consistency, the work, everything that goes along, the practical stuff. So the goal shouldn't be to want more money, more streams. Your goal should be to be more consistent in this area, be more consistent in that area. Maybe I need rock coaching, go that area. Like, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. Doing that is a byproduct of just going to the gym. So the goal should be, I want to be more consistent in the gym.
That's a really refreshing mindset to have. Like, to hear that you're saying you look at the 360-degree opportunity for improvement and you say, what are the small wins? What are the medium wins? What are the big wins? And you use it as a ladder for success. I rate that highly. Because I think many artists, they set these outlandish, wild targets for themselves. They say, an artist of my caliber should have X number of streams or Y number of fans. And they pull these numbers out of thin air like they deserve it or they should already be there. And it's a very toxic mindset to have, actually, to think you should be 5 steps ahead when you're not already there.
I don't think a lot of us understands what a fan is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is why I think social media is slightly dangerous to a certain extent, right? Is that, like, there was the overarching message or messages that are posted on, it's a one-size-fits-all, right? And yes, there are certain touch points that you really have to look at as an artist and as a manager, but the approach to that will differ based on the artist that's opposite you. So if I see an artist and they say something generic to me like, hey, I want to get 100,000 streams, my first question is, well, what will that do for you? What
Yeah.
do for you to put back with no numbers? Because it's just like it's good, it's talent. They can see where it can go. Right. And I've seen people with mad numbers to be like, nobody really wants to work with them. You know what I mean? So the whole streaming thing is like terrible barometer. Like for me, streaming is more of a doorway into like other creative and money avenues.
That's so true. Yeah, I hear that. I think it's a dangerous flaw to begin with, because it's like a chicken and egg scenario. A lot of distributors, platforms will say, we only work with people who have 100,000 monthly streams and above. So therefore you need hype to get hype, and you cannot get the hype unless you have any of it in the first place. So you have to build brick by brick on your own, and then all these opportunities come to you when you don't kind of need them anymore. You've achieved many of them on your own. How does that land with you?
Yeah. No, it's true. Like nobody wants to touch you until you're past a certain point, and then everybody wants to touch you. And it's like, oh my God, I always think you'll make it. No, shut up.
Exactly.
It's like catch-22, right? Of I really have to really do this and craft my team in my own way. So now that when I'm there, but it's like, it's society, it's how we think.
Yep.
Right? A rich person or wealthy person will get more attention than that person who's the waiter or the valet.
Sure.
Or
yeah, for sure.
It's just because when you have, people feel attracted to it. When you don't have, people are just like, well, there's nothing to prove that you can do what you said you can do.
That's the way. I think it is one at a time, fan at a time, that you build the opportunities. And I personally, what I coach my musicians in the groups that I run, is micro content. Micro content is like everything you need to kickstart the machine. You start with 10 TikToks, 10 Reels, 10 YouTube Shorts, and you just commit to making it from all the different places you go. So it's less about promoting a song and more about performing a song. I think that's my philosophy, really, is keep performing, keep performing, keep performing.
Well, it's that. So, it's that, and it's also saying, okay, cool. I've got this TikTok, or I've got this short form content. I got a 30-second clip. What can I do with a 30-second clip in 10 different ways to make it hit on different platforms? Or what can I do to gain one new fan a day through this content? I've got 2 new fans. Have I reached out to them today? Have I checked in? Have I given them some new stuff to check out? Cool, I haven't. Let me do that. And it's like, okay, I've got 2 new fans, and those fans go to 4 fans, 8, 16. And over a 6-month period, you go from seemingly 2 fans to like 250 fans.
Agree.
Because you can see done things every day to grow that by 1, 2, 1, 2. I think it was Atomic Habit, the book Atomic Habit, that says,
great book.
If you do 1% every day, you will end up way closer or hit your mark than doing one big thing. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So it's the little things that get you to the big thing. And it's like, okay, like, how do I figure out what the little things are? And that's where you and your managers have the conversation.
I think this is inspiring. This is very on point for how you need to think about working with one artist. But what happens, bro, when you look after like a roster of artists as a manager? How do you pick and choose who to introduce to a label or who to introduce to a publisher? Are your artists saying, well, you got the connect, why can't you introduce me now? How do you pick when is the right time to introduce somebody and not just everyone the minute you start working with them?
Easy. If I can't clearly say what it is in 3 points, there's no point.
Okay.
Because like it's a business, right? like it's a business, like anything with a business, like they need to know what the return on investment. So if I'm walking into a label and I'm saying, I'm not looking what I can get out of them immediately. I'm like, okay, I've seen your roster. I've seen I've seen what you've released. And maybe you haven't done it well. So that's my point of entry, saying, listen, I've got an artist that's got 200,000 streams, his upward projections, and for now looking like it'll go to 500 by this time. His engagement is X, Y, and Z, looking to grow that to this, right? And I think your label is the perfect fit for said thing because you've got this and this and this artist, but they haven't, and these are the holes they haven't filled, but we can fill these holes and we can attract that audience to you.
Damn.
That's a conversation. And then they'll be like,
sounds like a lot of research, a lot of positioning in your mind went into every conversation you have. That blows me away.
100%. Like you have to do the research and know. It's like a chess match. You have to know the players and every piece and what they do, right? So if I walk into office, I know everyone in that office and I have a personality profile in my head, so I know how to interact with them.
Wow.
So the social media guys, I'll speak to them like social media. Oh, so what's your KPI and how do you format this for this profile? I will go into his world, right? And you have to bring the artist into label one and label into the artist world. So by speaking the business speak, that's the label's world. And then by speaking we want to make cultural impact. We want to influence this brand, because this is how it ties into the music. And we'll create replay value by doing this, this, and this, and this, and this. Brings the up. And then we're like, oh, we get it. Cool.
That is fascinating.
So remember, it goes back to just people, isn't it? And you're not going to get along with everyone. You're not going to see eye to eye with everyone. Like, even with my clients, we butt heads sometimes with the way that I do things or the way that they require things to be done. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't do it that way. You know, these things happen because we're human. But at the end of the day, we're people. I don't know everything. I'm learning as the music industry evolves and different ways of working come about, Web3, NFT. I'm still learning on the job.
Yeah.
Constant.
You know what? Same. I'm at the same point in my life as well, bro. I'm learning, I'm reading, I'm testing, and I'm dipping my toe in the water. But I think the opportunity to, like, for yourself to have an artist who's like carte blanche, like blank canvas, what do you want to do in Web3? That seems like a really exciting space when they've got the backing of a fan base. They have a moderate amount of incomings revenue-wise, so you can invest into a project. That sounds like a innovative opportunity to say, let's do your first NFT drop. Let's do your first music royalty given away to the fans for crowdfunding. That must be exhilarating as a manager to be on the cusp of tech, but also doing what you love in music. How does that feel for you?
You know, I was born in the 80s, so I've seen cassettes, vinyls, CDs, MP3s, mini discs, cell phones, computers get smaller and smaller. Like, I've kind of been in that age where I've seen like a lot technologically, right? So with every advent, it's like, cool, what can we push it? Like, even with Chat GTP and like how you, like, do you really need someone who can do a copy on a bike when you can actually sit and fiddle with Chat GTP and get that done?
100%.
You know what I mean? So it's exciting, scary, but I think these things are tools to help. Like, for example, I've got 2 arms and 2 legs. Chat GTP could be my pillar.
Yeah, exactly. It's not replacing the human, it's enabling you to do more. I totally agree. Yeah.
Right. So, like, the people that has scared of me, like, oh my God, I can't believe that the Web3, and like, I will say this, Web3 is in a space where it's not fully actualized. Like they're still building a lot around. Same thing, and that's why when people were like, oh, NFT, this NFT, I'm like, yeah, I'm staying away from that because there was no like regulation around it. There was no like the Wild West. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not really trying to go into Hunger Games over like pixels. So,
fully,
as and when, like, no, as and when these things are really kind of developed properly, that'll be amazing. And stuff change the game.
I think nobody wants their debut project to flop. So when you invest and you dip your toe in, you got to go all in with your chest and be sure something's going to work rather than have it backfire on you, egg on your face that nobody got involved. And that's sometimes the risk with wallets and MetaMask and all of that jazz.
I hear that, but how much you really want? Like, I don't think we critically think enough, right? So, for example, something new comes out, right? A new technology. It's untested. There's some people that run towards that.
Yes.
Especially if it's been seen as easy money, they'll run towards it. But oh my God. All you have to do is just let the lambs go first.
Yeah, for real.
See what happens. And then make your approach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because not everything's for everyone. Like, not everyone's gonna be an NFT artist, not everyone's gonna be a Web3 artist, not everyone's gonna be, like wallets and gas fees and like not every artist want to deal with that.
Agreed.
But they'll force to deal with it because it's seen as, I don't know, fast money or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? So it's about knowing kind of what works for you as an artist, because not every artist needs an NFT, right? Not every artist needs to do crowdfunding. Not every artist is a commercial artist. Like, you just have to figure out what your lane is and grow in that.
Honestly, I think that's the perfect place to leave it. That is a beautiful summary of our chat. I'm inspired, bro. Thank you for coming on. All about the music industry podcast. Can we just get a quick place where people can connect with you, where they can find out more about how to work with you? Like, plug yourself if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, just follow me at Ross Wills on Twitter and Instagram. And if you DM me, just DM me call. So just DM me a link with just nothing attached. Like, give me a bit of context. Don't even say I'm next up in my city. I won't read it. But yeah, I enjoy talking to people about music and music related stuff. So feel free to.
You're a legend, bro. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being one of the guests in season 1. Love, bro.
No,